You have seen modern empires rise. You have watched them fall. But some titans crumble overnight. Two massive companies made a fateful pact. They signed a piece of paper. The financial destruction was completely unimaginable. Wealth vanished into thin air. Ordinary people lost their entire futures. What causes a modern empire to die?
In January 2000, the world stopped. The largest corporate merger was announced. The sheer numbers defied human logic. $350 billion combined. But soon, half that value vanished. $200 billion simply disappeared. It evaporated into the cold winter air. Let that staggering magnitude sink in. How does that much money disappear?
This was the largest corporate disaster. Human history had never seen worse. Millions of working lives were altered. Ordinary employees lost absolutely everything. Decades of retirement savings were wiped. But this tragedy was never accidental. It was a deliberate, arrogant choice, a single moment of blind certainty. Why did they choose complete ruin? Step back to the year 2000. The internet was an unproven frontier. Time Warner was an unquestioned titan. It boasted a massive media legacy. It generated huge, reliable cash flows. America Online was an entirely different beast. It was born from the dot-com bubble. It ran a fragile dial-up network. Yet Wall Street valued AOL higher. Which company held the real power? The timeline reveals a terrifying truth. AOL went public in 1992. It grew at a dangerous pace. By 1999, it hit peak valuation. The global market euphoria was blinding. 1 month later, the merger hit. The speed of the deal was reckless. They sprinted toward a steep cliff. Did they know they were falling?
AOL CEO Steve Case held a secret. He knew his company was doomed. His core dial-up business was dying. New broadband technology was coming fast. Case desperately needed a safe escape. He desperately needed to acquire hard assets. Time Warner was his perfect lifeboat. He had to strike immediately. What happens when desperate men negotiate?
Gerald Levin ruled the Time Warner empire. Case knew exactly how to capture him. He used an invisible psychological weapon. He offered Levin the top CEO title. He fed Levin's massive, blinding ego. It was a carefully constructed trap. Levin walked right through the door. A 78-year legacy was surrendered. Who trades an empire for a title?
Wall Street eagerly watched the trap close. High-powered bankers smelled blood in the water. Solomon Smith Barney facilitated the complex merger. Morgan Stanley pushed the deal forward. They completely ignored the underlying financial rod. They happily banked massive cash fees. They collected $120 million. Absolutely no one warned the innocent victims. Are massive fees worth total destruction?
The financial red flags were massive. Warning signs loudly flashed absolutely everywhere. They exchanged real assets for bubble stock. They legally manipulated complex accounting records. They proudly planned zero dividends for shareholders. They projected impossible growth for 15 years. They aggressively ignored fundamental financial reality. How could seasoned executives be completely blind?
The deep psychology here is chilling. It was a simple three-step trap. Step 1 promised a fake digital utopia. Step 2 fed the leader's fragile pride. Step 3 demanded ignoring absolute financial reality. They willingly abandoned logic for total fantasy. They eagerly believed their own manufactured hype. This is how the smartest men fall. Could you have spotted the trap?
The deal finally closed in 2001. The fresh ink was barely dry. Then, the inflated dot-com bubble violently burst. The broader global stock market rapidly crashed. The promised internet fantasy evaporated into air. The massive trap definitively snapped shut. Executives were locked inside a burning building. No one could escape the financial inferno. Would they survive the coming collapse?
The resulting devastation was completely brutal. The stock plummeted from its historic peak. It rapidly lost 90% of value. The mighty internet giant became worthless overnight. The heavy floor fell out in 2002. Imagine watching your life savings instantly vanish. It all happened in mere terrifying seconds. The total market destruction was absolute.
Where did all that money go?
The accounting math became a living nightmare. In 2002, the stark truth was printed. They reported a massive quarterly loss. $54 billion had just vanished. Then came the final crushing corporate blow, a $99 billion legal write-down. It remains the largest impairment in history. $100 billion was totally incinerated. Can you even comprehend that number? The human cost was far more tragic.
Thousands of dedicated employees were abruptly fired. Working-class families were ruined completely overnight. But even the wealthiest titans bled out. Legendary founder Ted Turner lost 80%. $8 billion was gone in a flash. Imagine watching your entire life's work erased. Who really pays for corporate greed?
The prime architect of disaster eventually confessed. Gerald Levin looked back at absolute ruin. He openly called it the worst deal. He destroyed his own legendary, historic company. He offered a completely hollow, useless apology. He simply stated to the public he was sorry. But an apology cannot rebuild shattered empires. Are you satisfied with a simple apology?
We must name the true underlying poison. It was never just normal market forces. It was not an unpredictable technology glitch. The definitive, singular cause was sheer hubris. Excessive human pride brings highly fatal ruin. They arrogantly believed they were totally invincible. They thought they could permanently defy gravity. Do you believe you are invincible?
You must deeply learn this haunting lesson. The biggest man-made disasters reject mere ignorance. These highly educated leaders had precise data. They vividly saw the glaring red flags. They heard the desperate warnings from teams. They arrogantly chose to be wrong anyway. They consciously ignored the objective, factual truth. What truth are you currently ignoring?
Think about your own daily decisions. We all face moments of deep temptation. We all desire an impossible, flawless future. We all want the easy, quick victory. But cold reality always demands harsh payment. You cannot cheat the unyielding laws of math. Ego will inevitably destroy everything you build. Will you let ego override your strategy?
Massive empires are painstakingly built over decades. They require intense patience and clear vision. Yet they can violently fall in seconds. Never forget the true cost of arrogance. One arrogant bad decision is all it takes.